Bohn here with former UFC WEC champ Anthony Pettis, fighter, promoter Anthony, father. What else are we doing these days?
Man, I got a management company. I got a gym still. I got a lot of stuff going on, bro. So it's a great blessed life I have.
Yeah, man. Before we kind of get into all the other stuff, I want to ask you about this big news that just broke. I don't know if you saw this. This happened a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, bro. Literally, that's why I was saying I needed a little minute. I was like showing my wife. I'm like, whoa, that is wild. I think that's USADA, right?
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know who's watching what we're talking about yet, I'm sure you probably see it. But USADA and UFC partnership going to end January 1st of next year. It sounds like some dispute about Conor McGregor's re-entry kind of led to the relationship getting soured a little bit. And here we are. I don't know. It's very early on. It sounds like, you see Brendan Fitzgerald, the commentator, out there tweeting saying that doesn't mean the end of drug testing. They're going to have another partner. We don't know who it's going to be, all those details. But your initial reaction, I mean, you're no longer in the UFC, but you went through that program for many, many years. So do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing? What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, I think most fighters are going to like it, man. Like we had to it was so much stuff that we had to do to be part of that program. I mean, I think it kept the sport fair. But I mean, if dudes are getting drug tested, the night of the fight, before the fight, the week of the fight, there's better ways to do it. I think that was you could still keep it fair. Because I mean, as a fighter, man, we had to update our whereabouts. And we're fighters. We're traveling, training at different gyms. If you didn't update your whereabouts, you get I think Yair Rodriguez got 3 of them and got suspended for a little bit. So it's a lot of things just little things like that. But I was like, man, there probably is a better way to do it. And I think USADA, I mean, they're a great company. I mean, no bad things to say against USADA. They made the sport fair, but I think there's other ways to do it. They're not the only person that can do it.
Yeah, right. So I guess that's the big question. When, the difference between modern day and when they started this program, do you think they did a good job in, actually deterring this throughout the sport, not just maybe at the highest level, but people who are up and coming too and kind of getting into that UFC spot?
There's just so many ways around it too, though. Look at if you announce that you're retired, USADA stops, coming to your door. So that's a flaw right there. And these guys are like, oh, I'm retired. I'm gonna fight next year. So there's little things like that they got to figure out. I think from where the sport was at when they first came in, they cleaned it up big time. A lot of guys are, the guys that I think they were juicing, they had to figure out something else. But I think, as a businessman, it's really hard to run a business that way, bro. You got guys that it's like a Conor McGregor, man. If he wants to come back and fight, and I said he should get special rules, but if the drug testing is fair, why does he need 6 months to be, drug free to fight a fight? It's a fight, I don't know. I'm my view on it. When I saw it, I was like, man, a lot of fighters are gonna be pissed off because it was about Conor McGregor. If it wasn't about Conor McGregor and the UFC's as a business, it just doesn't make sense for us to use this company. We're gonna use a different company. I think it would have been differently. But with Conor's face on it and the Dana, what do they call it? The Dana favoritism or whatever.
Dana White privilege.
Dana White privilege. Yeah. So I feel like that. People are gonna get behind that, and but it comes down to it, it's a business, man, and people want to see Conor fight, and I don't know. Do you think you need 6 months to prove that you're not taking drugs?
Well, it's tricky because I guess he needs to be in the program for 6 months, but that doesn't mean they need to test. They only need to test him twice, right? So he could get into it. Apparently, he's in it now. October 8th, that said in the statement, but they don't need to test him tomorrow. They can test him 5 months and 25 days in, right? Leading up to the 6 months. So I guess it depends when they want to do it. I'm interested to see what happens now because he is in the pool and it sounds.
But if you test, let's say he jumped in the pool now, right? And they test him tomorrow, and then he's gonna fight in January,
I mean, that's what I'm wondering, because can they test him now that he's in the pool? Could he be tested every day from now until this partnership ends on December 31st? But what happens, after that point? Who's picking it up? It seems, I don't know, very complicated. Will they?
It's so fresh and brand new. Literally before we talked, it popped up on my feed. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. Yeah. But my initial thought is I understand, bro. It's a business. I think USADA did a great job in the initial, part of making this more clean. But there are other companies, there are other ways to do this, and the UFC's the UFC for a reason. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So anyone watching this, take this with a grain of salt, because yes, this news is very fresh. If anything involves or we misspoke kind of on any of the specifics, kind of just put that caution out there. But I guess last thing to you on this, I mean, you've had a post UFC run, you've been out of this. Like what's the drug testing that you've kind of faced in like a PFL or when you
the same as before. You know, you get trusted by the commission. The commission comes in. I mean, unless you're like a high level boxer that's getting paid a lot of money and you can hire a USADA or like a drug testing company, like I mean, these companies are just even PFL. You know, they're trying to figure out how to do it too. But you're also trying to start a business. So PFL, like we got drug tested every fight at fight night, just like it was before. So like and in PFL you're fighting every 5 weeks. So I got tested every 5 weeks for from April to August. It was four drug tests fight night though. So I mean, and man, like there's so many ways like you can like fighters. If you have enough money, but like, look at we watch the documentary on Lance Armstrong. I mean, if you have enough money, there's ways to get around all this shit, bro. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess I was just asking from like a personal perspective, if one gives you peace of mind over the other, or if you don't really care because you like. If you're
I was fighting in the Wild Wild West days, bro. Where like drug test, like it was random. Like unless you're fighting for a title shot, like that shit you probably wouldn't even get a drug test. So it was like, yeah, the back in the days, and then like. I don't know. I had both ways on it, you know, and I think the USADA way definitely makes me feel like a little more safe and like, yo, the guy that I'm fighting is not on some shit. But if they want to get around it, man, there's ways to get around it. You know, there's tricks and stuff that these guys have. I mean, when money's involved, you know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the people who want to cheat and who are willing to dedicate themselves to making that happen are always going to be ahead of the people trying to catch them because they can figure out, new ways to do things. And if you're on the other side, you have to figure out how to catch those new ways. So.
Exactly, right? And that's the game they're trying to play. And I think their rules that they put together were good, but like, man, it's really hard as a fighter, like to update your whereabouts and like check in. Like, and USADA used to come to my house, and me and Serge lived together, so it'd be like 4:30 in the morning, ding dong. I'm like, bro, we're about to train the whole day. It'll be fight week, and they're coming at 5 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. It was like, it's a lot of stuff that was like, man, like it could have been done better, like or more. I don't know, more just another way, I guess.
Yep, for sure. And I think that way would have been, if fighters were collectively organized in some way and don't want to get into a whole union thing. But in other sports, you see how drug testing programs go. It's something that's bargained between the, athletes and the programs. So, but yeah. Anyways, man. So speaking of PFL, like are you still in contract with them? What's going on? Because obviously the Cedric Doumbe fight is kind of hanging out there. I know that was obviously a crazy knockout by him, and there's been a little bit of back and forth and building towards a potential fight. Is that something you could be in contract with, or like?
Well, I have a fight set up with PFL for their pay-per-view card. So
nice.
Pay-per-view card. I think the format of the tournament was just so hard on my body, bro. Like the age that I am and what I've already done in this sport, it's really hard to fight. 5 weeks at every 5 weeks you're fighting, and whatever happened in the first fight, you got to heal up. So I didn't really like the tournament format. I tried it twice, man. I was like, yo, this is the hardest form of MMA there is out there right now. Honestly, like fighting back to back like that. So the guys that are winning those $1 million tournaments. And then it's dedication, bro. Like you gotta because you get hurt. I mean, you can't. Some guys you can't even run. Like, you kick an elbow, you can't cut weight. It was tough. There's a lot of stuff that I had to figure out. So, I'm not gonna do the tournament format, but the pay-per-view format, like a fight like that, Cedric Doumbe, like a dude like that with that kind of pedigree gets me excited to fight. It gets me ready to train, and so I mean, we'll see what happens and see who they want me to fight, but it's definitely on the table.
Okay, so I was gonna say I hadn't seen any fight announced for you, so nothing, no opponent official, but they want you on that date, and you're preparing to be fighting next month. I guess it is.
No, February.
Oh, the February.
Pay-per-view. Yeah, when Francis Ngannou fights.
Gotcha.
No, not November. No, it's too quick. Right now, I'm just getting in shape just to be the healthiest version of myself.
Okay, nice. Is Doumbe who you want? I mean, what do you think of this guy?
In MMA, like, so I plan on boxing 3 times next year. I want to like really push into this boxing. I've been training my ass off in boxing. My coach here been making sure we're ready for whatever what comes in boxing. But in MMA, that kind of fight gets me excited. I mean, there's a lot of like one-off fights that I'm like, yeah, that gets me excited. That's definitely one of them, though. I mean, especially what he just did and like his name out there in Europe. I mean, and I think it's good for the PFL, man. He's becoming a big star already. Like, and you put 2 guys like that together, it's gonna be a fun ass fight. Like I come to fight, and I know he does too. So I thought that'd be a good fight.
Yeah, what do you make of the antics? Like walks out holding a mattress saying he's going to knock his opponent out, gets the crowd to cheer that he's about to get KO'd, and then goes out there and does it. It's pretty wild.
fighters take note. I mean, you see the UFC partner with TKO, like that's part of the whole game, man. Like the more entertaining you are, the more you can get the fans behind you, the more the promotion gets eyes on them, and they get behind you, man. So I think he's smart with it, bro. And what he did was that knockout was beautiful. Like he caught that leg perfectly, just hung him up for a second. I was like, ooh, that was clean.
Yeah, man, that was an incredible finish. Yeah, I think everyone would love to see that fight. It's got fireworks written all over it, and it's worthy of being on pay-per-view. But on top of that, you mentioned the boxing. What are you kind of thinking on that side of it? Like who you'd work with? Anyone in particular you're looking to fight?
Not no one in particular right now. I mean, I'm just waiting for everything to figure itself out. Boxing's a little different than MMA. Like I'm a free agent right now. I just gotta let the lands figure out the lay of the land before I figure out where I want to go. Most likely not till next year. I'm gonna take the rest of this year and just get in shape and get ready, and I'll try to make a run at it. So if I don't do that February fight for PFL, I'll just go right into boxing. But if that February fights, I'll start with MMA next year and finish with boxing.
Yeah, interesting. Do you think, what do you think of this PFL, I guess, pay-per-view division? Because they're going out there stating that, they're going to be sharing, 50% of the revenue with the fighters? I don't know how that works with names like yourself and Ngannou, and I don't know if Jake Paul is going to do anything, but except if they have multiple people that you'd think would be worthy of a pay-per-view cut. Do you have any insight?
I don't know. I'm on the promoting side too. Like it'd be really hard to figure that out. Francis's name versus somebody else's name on the card, like who drew in more. Like, it'd be really hard to figure out where the revenue came from, unless they have people buying pay-per-views per person or something. I don't know. It'd be really hard to figure that out. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But I would say one thing, MMA's in a weird spot right now. It's an interesting spot for MMA. Everything's besides the UFC, everything else is we'll see in the next couple months where everything ends up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess speaking on that, obviously, elephant in the room is Bellator. What are you was Sergio saying to you as far as does he even know? Because I saw Ariel Helwani saying yesterday that this Bellator 301 card is even kind of up in the air because they're debating who is going to be paying the purses and all these expenses. Is he seemingly concerned that this fight might not happen?
I don't think. I mean, I try not to put Serge on that side of it. Serge is so focused on the fight. He has a tough fight in front of him. Yeah, I mean, the business is out of his control, bro. He has that contract with him. Hopefully we figure out sooner than later so we can figure out what's next for him. But right now he's getting ready for his fight. November 17th, he's locked in. He has a Patchy Mix is no punk. It's a tough fight. I definitely want to see that fight too. That's one of those it's the king of the division fight. It sucks because Serge missed out on that $1 million opportunity, with his knee surgery. But he's back in the mix. That last fight was so impressive, man. He was so clean and just composed. His boxing looked great. So I'm excited to see what Serge does in November. But as far as the business side, man, it's out of his control. He has a contract signed for his fight. That's all he's really focused on. Yeah,
that makes sense. Well, if you keep laying the coin on him like you do in these fights, you'll be able to pay him back that $1 million pretty soon here because you're just on a hot heater with him.
I knew that last one, bro. Because the reason why I knew that, obviously I believe in my little bro to the fullest, but cutting an extra 10 pounds, I did it. I fought Max Holloway down there. I fought Charles Oliveira at 145. And it sounds cool when you'll make, I made 155 pretty easy. I'm I could get down to 45. And then when you actually do it, bro, the rebound part is hard. You can make it, but rehydrating, your brain's not you're just a little foggy, man. And you feel like your energy's a little zapped. So I knew Pitbull was putting himself in a really vulnerable position with a fucking good fighter. So I was that's good odds for me on that one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I guess you keep mentioning the promoter side. We got to talk about that. Obviously, your promotion, Anthony Pettis FC, has been doing great. You got your next card October 20th, I believe, and then another one already announced for November 19th. So yeah, this is the 8th card coming up. How do you feel it's gone so far? And I don't know, what do you think it's being relative to your expectations doing this many shows this far?
I'm learning a lot. I'll tell you that. This is my only 8th show that I'm going into, and I'm learning. I learned a lot really quick, we're growing the brand really fast. I'm going to Manchester. That's a pretty big risky move, but I'm trying to set up shop in different places. I like to get to Germany. I'm gonna go do Puerto Rico. November 11th, we're doing tryouts in Puerto Rico actually for APFC, just to cultivate that area and get some MMA over there, man. Because there's some killers over there in Puerto Rico. So I got a lot of big dreams and visions with this fight promotion. But the biggest thing for me is giving these guys an opportunity. I'm trying to give because I know when I won my title shot, it was in a Harley Davidson dealership, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They clear out the motorcycles, put a cage in there. So it was really, it looked cool at the time, but now I feel like MMA's grown so much where I want to make it the B-level league. I want to be like that B-level league, you know, LFAs of the world. So I'm trying to, you know, catch up to those guys and compete in that world where like these guys know like, yo, if I fight on an APFC card, I'm gonna have enough shine to go to the big show, whatever big show it is at the time. You know, like I want to make sure that these guys are getting that shine.
Yeah, definitely. And you see, you know, guys, I'm sure you want to see them like on Contender Series and going through all these, you know, situations that kind of lead to that, and having your promotion be like one of those household names as far as like who the talent comes from that we kind of see in the big promotions, right?
That's the big goal, obviously. I mean, most lower level, B-level promotions are trying to be that person, you know, and I think I'm in a good spot to do it, man. I live in Las Vegas. I made some big moves this week, actually. I'll be announcing a bunch of big stuff next week. Some partnerships and some cool stuff. We'll actually be doing shows out here in Vegas on the Strip next year, so I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, definitely have your team send that over when you're ready to announce it.
We'll have that press release. Well, I think we're gonna put it out this weekend. Actually, I'll send it to you first.
Yeah, please do, man. I'd appreciate that. And I guess it's, you know, kind of on this tip, like you, I'm sure, experience all the challenges of being a promoter when you see what the UFC has gone through these past couple of days with losing a main event and a co-main event for a pay-per-view that's next weekend, and they find, you know, arguably even better replacements in a Volkanovski. And
who replaced Pacino?
Kamaru Usman.
Oh hell yeah! I didn't see that. I was far and I missed that. I thought I saw something with him and Bilal. That wasn't gonna happen.
No, so the UFC officially announced it. It's gonna be Hamzat versus Kamaru Usman, moving up to 185. Yeah.
Ooh.
I know. So like to go through things like this, like on such short notice, have you had like, you know, obviously it's not to the same significance because you're doing a massive pay-per-view in your country, but have you had moments like this? And
so many of them, bro. Yeah, like it's really hard on the lower level too. Like you got the guys that are like they really want to fight, and then they sign the contract. They'll even come to weigh-ins and weigh in, and all of a sudden, like the day of the fight, they just don't show up. And that's like, you know, they got a contract. We're paying them, you know, as best as we can pay them, but it's not like some significant amount where they're like life-changing money. Right. So it's like, you know, I understand that too. So when I build the brand, I'm really trying to build it about like APFC, like the UFC did, man. Like really get the, when you go to a APFC fight, you know, what kind of, you know, event I'm going to put on. Obviously the fights are going to be as good as I can, you know, give you guys, but man, the fighters, it's hard dealing with that, man. Because I mean, injuries come, you know, weight cuts are hard, and then like I said, some guys just don't show up.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Especially at that lower level, you just never know what's going to happen until they actually get the cage.
Yeah, honestly, I have my fight card and I have it planned out, but until the day of the fight, I'm like, yeah, it's not official. I don't give it to the truck until I'm like, all right, they're here, they're ready to rock, and this is my fight card.
For sure, man. Awesome. So I guess just to sum it up, taking the rest of the year off to relax. We'll be there for Sergio's fight, which hopefully happens without issue. And then maybe a PFL fight in February. If that doesn't work out, you'll just kind of shift your focus to a boxing match, you know, probably sometime in the first quarter of next year.
Yep, I'll know pretty soon about the PFL. Once they get through this, you know, November card, I'll know what's going on with that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like that Cedric fight definitely is like a fight that's like, yeah, I'll go over there and focus on that for a while. But I've been focusing a lot on boxing. I definitely this year I want to make a little run at boxing.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, yeah, it's gone well so far. So hopefully see you back in there soon, man. And appreciate the time. It's always great catching up, Anthony, and be well.
Thank you, man.